Hey, welcome back, everybody. How is everyone doing? I hope those of you that are watching did not have a difficult time during the rough part of the pandemic. It has been quite the year. So here I am back again, uh, looking to do some more videos and get into the conversation. And the conversation that I want to get into today is talking about these stars like DMX, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, who have left us because of demons they were fighting and they weren't able to win. And this story has been in. This is just a common thing amongst artists. I mean, I can't even list how many artists in my lifetime that I have read headlines that they are no longer with us. And today I want to have that conversation with you guys and just talk about it, just talk about what's going on in my mind and maybe share some of my experiences dealing with my own demons and battling my own addictions over the years. But first, let me just start off with, this is not about preaching on what people should and should not do. Let's just start off there. And this is not about pointing fingers and who's to blame and all that kind of stuff. This is just an open, honest conversation to share with you guys what I have gone through and my successes and pitfalls and just some of the stuff that I've read, and let's just have it. Okay. So first off, let me just start off with, DMX and I are the same age. I think I turned 50 before I turned, my birthday's in April. I think his is in December is what I read, but we are the same age. We were born the same year. And, the crack epidemic was alive and well, during our coming up years. Especially when I got into my adulthood, I got caught up in that game. I chose that. I didn't have somebody force it on me. I was curious and I stepped into that arena knowing some of the pitfalls that could happen. Yet I did not, I don't know. Maybe I didn't think could happen to me, but it did. And so I battled with that addiction for quite some time in my life. And I'm thankful that I was able to walk away from it intact, learn from it, and move forward in my life. But I made that decision back when I was in my 20s. And it has been about 26 or so years, my sobriety. Honestly, I stopped counting. Once I decided that was no longer an option to deal with my pain and all the issues I had, I moved on. So that was my short end of the story. When I see artists such as DMX and Michael Jackson and Whitney and how they battle that demon and struggle with it pretty much the bulk of their lives, so many questions go through my mind. So many questions like, how did I make it out? And why didn't I jump back in? And where was that strength coming from? I'm not a big believer in a God as opposed to a man with a beard living in the sky, but I do believe in a higher power beyond a shadow of a doubt. There is something greater than me in this universe. I just look around you and you can see it every day. If you just observe nature, life, the universe, the stars, the moon, the sun, just look around you. You will see that there is something greater than you. So when I look at these individuals and I look at their lives, and from the outside looking in, they look great, wealth, fame, success, houses, cars, careers, they look great. One of the things that when I was starting off in my sobriety that really stuck with me was sober people are not without problems, okay? And successful people are not without problems. They learn how to deal with their problems. And that was something that stuck with me and stayed with me. And I was determined that I was going to not allow myself to choose drugs in order to cope with my problems, my frustrations in life. And when I first, started off, I did go to meetings like most people do. I was going to go to rehab and opted out. And I started to read things that would help me understand what addiction was about. And I started looking for answers as to the why. Why did I get into it? Why did I not walk away? And how could I walk away? And I don't recall a lot of the books, but I do recall bits and pieces, things that stuck with me. Like I learned that the pathway, neurological pathway that drugs travel on is the same pathway that food, pleasure travels on, sex travels on, drugs. It's that endorphin pathway. It's that adrenaline, that excitement, that oof. And so even education. So I decided to replace that activity with something constructive. And it was tough. It was not like, one morning I just woke up, I knew what it was, and off is running, and I never looked back. No, it was a constant day-to-day reminder of find out how to replace what you were doing and find the enjoyment of it. So hobbies, I began to search for hobbies. I began to start looking at activities. It starts off with things like walking, exercise, and exercise wasn't hard for me to come by. I was in track and field, so I could get my body back into exercise. But it was beyond just exercise. Like when I was home, I needed something to do. A lot of the reasons why I think drugs became a part of my life was because I was bored. I didn't have nothing to do. And my spouse, when we first got together, she had hobbies. She would knit and sew and, girly stuff. And that just wasn't me. That's not how I grew up. But I dabbled with it. I thought, why not? Let's dig into this. Let's see if I could adapt that. And it didn't fit. So I had to just keep searching and keep searching and keep searching. And I began to get drawn to creative things, photography, music. And when computers started to come about, I really wanted to get involved with those because I was fascinated by the ability to go into a different world and see different things and do different things. So I just slowly started picking stuff up, looking at it, asking myself, do I like this? Maybe this? Let's try it. And one day turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into 4. And during that time, I still had cravings. I would say for the first 3 months, maybe 6 months, the cravings were the worst. Yet once I got over that hump, I kind of remember that day of feeling like sunshine just came out, like the rain, the storm had cleared. And I remember humming the song, I Can See Clearly Now the Rain Is Gone. That song came to me because I began to see clearly how I could live my life without chasing that substance and chasing that high as to how to occupy my time. And I started to then turn my attention inward. So it was a balance, but I knew that the journey was not instant, and it wasn't going to be, it's over now. It was going to be something I had to do for the rest of my life. I was going to have to face struggles, face upset, face bankruptcy, face financial struggles, face job struggles, face car troubles, face arguments, face people not liking me, face asserting myself. All those things are part of the big picture. And I was thankful I had people around me that were supporting me to ensure that I stayed focused. So let's talk about that right there, people around you. When I made the decision to leave that world, at the time I had a friend who had HIV, AIDS, and he was pretty far along in that disease. And it was tough because he was my hang tough buddy, get high buddy, ... buddy. And when I made that decision to walk away from that lifestyle, I made the decision to walk away from him as well as anyone else who was a part of that lifestyle. And I got a lot of flap for it. I did, because people thought, oh my gosh, this person is dying and this is how you treat him and you're just disconnecting. I had to look out for me. And that's something a lot of people don't understand, that they need to put themselves first. And something my mom used to say to me, no one on this planet is going to take care of you better than you. Nobody. Because only you know what's good for you. Only you know what's important to you. It doesn't matter what people say. It really doesn't. And that's hard. You know, I was in my 20s when I started my sobriety journey, and I didn't know what my future was going to look like. I didn't know who I was going to run into. None of that. I just knew that side of the road was not for me, that I needed to look another way, because I knew over there was destruction. Okay. It was slow suicide. Okay. It was slow suicide. When I started to just read about other people, I really did. I started in what they went through to become sober. Those that didn't make it at the end of the day in jail, or they were dead. And I didn't want that. That wasn't my future. So consequences was something that came to mind. But back to letting go, you know, I read something that the closest 5 people in your circle represent who you are. So I'm not putting anybody down saying those are bad people, you're bad people for being around them. But I just want you to understand that if you want to break a habit and you have people around you that participate in that habit, condone that habit, or enable you to partake in that habit, you are not going to break that habit unless you have the will, the desire, and the discipline, along with motivation. The will, the desire, the discipline, and the motivation That whole cake must go together in order for you to move to the other side. Okay. And I say this from experience. And I kept my circle small for a long time. You know, when my spouse and I, at that time we weren't married, but when we decided to move into a new place, we didn't tell nobody. We really cut the cord because we talked about it though. And we asked ourselves, are these people helping us or hindering us, or is it a give and take? And it's interesting. I wind up, this was years later. Matter of fact, I was an Uber driver at the time when I heard this, but I picked up this young man and I was dropping him off, and he said, people will come into your life and they will do 4 things. They will either multiply, divide, add, or subtract to your life. Multiply, divide, add, or subtract from your life. So, you know, when you think about that, you're like, man, you start looking at people and asking. And it's not about, oh, I need you to add to me and I need you to multiply me on everybody. Because I also believe that everybody that you cross paths with has a lesson for you or has something to teach you or to give you, whether it be a material piece or an idea, a concept, something to help you understand who you are, where you need to go, how you're going to be, and move you into the next step of life. And when I started moving into new jobs and stuff, I told myself, you know, I'm not looking for new friends and I'm not looking for connections to propel me. I just wanted to understand me, who I was, what I was doing. And I knew, I went back to old dreams that I had as a kid and I just started asking myself, like, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And I started reading all the books I can, the Tony Robbins, the Steve Covey. I mean, any self-help book in the late 90s, 2000s, you know, self-help was on the rise. It was all about moving people, motivating people to start new paradigms and do all these paradigm shifts and behavior management and all this other kind of stuff. It's go. Rise. Be. And so I picked up all those books. And 2 of my favorites were by Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant. I read that book and made notes and highlights and all those things. And it was recommended to me by a friend that I was working with at the time I was doing warehouse work. But I was hungry for something to help me move to the next level. I did not want to be stuck. And so whatever it took, you know, but that was, I knew that was coming from somewhere within. I knew it was there. I believed it was there. So to move over to another part of this, because as I'm hearing myself talk, what's coming to mind is there were times when I would hear somebody giving me advice, whether it be on TV, a tape, whatever, and things would come to my mind like, well, you didn't have my life. You didn't grow up where I grew up. You didn't experience what I experienced. You don't have the parents that I have, ... whatever the case may be. Nobody has lived your life. Nobody. You're the only one. Okay? So we all have a different story. We all have a different path. Every single person on the planet walked a line that's called their life. So no, I did not experience your experience, and I never will, just like you would not experience my experience. But what I hope to have you take away from this is that look at that experience and find as much good success stories as you can. Okay? Something as small as remembering when you learned how to tie your shoes. That was a success story. Okay? The next step, the first time you went into the store and spent money out of your own pocket and bought something, you made a decision. You bought it, whether it be a piece of gum or a new pair of jeans, a new pair of shoes, or whatever the case may be. Think of the time when you made a grade in school. You drew a picture and you got praise for it. Whatever that success story is, dig deep for it. Find those little bitty success stories, because here's where I'm going with this. Use those as stepping stones to believe in who you are and what you can do. Because those are the things that got me through it. I began to search my memory for success stories, as small as they were in my life. Happy moments, as small as they were in my life. And I use those as building blocks to say, I'm not that bad of a person. I haven't had that horrible. I'm still here, aren't I? And I use that to help me get to the next day. Sometimes it was the next hour, the next minute. I needed those stories. So let me tell you about a moment when I was going through I was going to meetings. So, you know, if you've ever been to an NAAA meeting or anything like that, you know, you get up and you tell your success story. Hey, it's day 1, day 2, day ... whatever the case may be. And I was pretty proud of myself. I had made it, I think it was like 90 days. You know, that was huge. That's a huge accomplishment. Hell, day 1 is a huge accomplishment. Okay. Hour 1 is a huge accomplishment. Moment by moment, people. Okay. But I was feeling really good. So I was sharing my story in the meeting. Hey, I'm 90 days clean. I'm feeling good. You know, ... I was just, And one of the attendees, male, berated me in front of everybody. I was devastated. That man stood there and just crushed my success by telling me that I wasn't shit. I wasn't about shit. I ain't done shit. And how miserable he was because he fell off the sober wagon. So I went home that night and I just cried. And my now spouse, she was like, "Oh, this is some bullshit. I'm over it. I'm done. If you're going to meetings to just be put down, stepped on, cussed out, and made to feel like crap, you ain't going no more." And that was the last time I went. That was it. Because I did not need someone to tear me down. I can do that all by myself. So sometimes you got to leave the meeting to have a life. And if that's what it means, that's what it means. But I didn't leave behind the principles. I read the books still. I did all my routines of day by day until it became a natural way of walking. One day turned into 2, turned into 365 times 10 times 20 and so forth and so on. And I remember one time looking back and just, I was in awe that I made it this far. I was like, wow, I mean, 3 years. I remember looking back, I've been 5 years. Looking back, it's 10 years. But I did each of those years one day at a time. And I came across more troubles, financial troubles, losing my home, losing a job, losing loved ones. That didn't stop. None of that stopped. The world didn't stop because I stopped using. Troubles still came. Firing from jobs still came. But I had to find another way to deal with that upset than to bury myself into substances to wash away. And it feels, I ain't gonna lie, it feels icky. When you begin to feel what the world is doing, when you begin to feel pain and upset and disappointment and tears, allowing those emotions to come through, you have to feel it. And I just told myself drugs were not an option. That was the principal part, the foundation. When you lay down concrete, that was written in the concrete. Drugs are not an option for nothing. So I kept going and kept going. That's not to say that these stars who are battling their demons are bad people. They're not bad people. There's a song out called Exodus. It's a spiritual song, gospel song, however you want to call it. But one of the phrases or one of the verses in that song goes something like, not people who do bad things, they don't do them because their spirit is bad. They do them because something left a hole in their spirit. And when I hear that song, I just, man, it is powerful. And the message of the song is that this was your exodus. This was your time to leave all that behind and look forward to a new day. And sometimes you got to hear a song 1,000 times, and even then, 1,000 more. But when you feel it and you know it, and it helps you get through that over that hump, over that, man, it feels good. It feels good. So I wanted to make this for anybody who may be looking at the DMXs of the world, or might be a DMX themselves, a Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Jimi Hendrix, a Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, name them. There's so many. They didn't have perfect backgrounds. They had upset, and no, they may not have been able to overcome their demons, but maybe you can. Matter of fact, I know you can. You just got to find that person deep inside. Look in the mirror every day. Tell yourself you love yourself. I do it every day. I look at myself and I say, I love you. I love you. And I tell myself every day, I am truly blessed. I am truly, truly blessed. So I hope that looking at this video, you walk away and you'll say, you know what? Maybe today is that day. But one day at a time is the only way you're going to get there. So I'm going to leave, and I just want to say big hug. And I hope this motivates anybody to make a change to move them to the next level of life. I'm Jewel. Peace.